And in between, we are almost set for the next panel discussion, which is going to be on mobile security and BYOD for digital business. Calling on our first panelist for this session, please help me welcome on the dais Ms. Seema Ambastha, Senior Vice President, India and Global Business, Netmagic and NTT Communications Company. And while she takes her place at the dais, please help me introduce her to you. Ms. Ambastha, as I just mentioned, is the Senior Vice President, India and Global Business at Netmagic and NTT Communications Company. In her role, she spearheads the channel's strategic alliances and other business development verticals of the company for managed data center hosting and cloud services. Ms. Ambastha is also in charge of developing and executing strategic plans to maintain existing business partnerships and develop new business relationships that position the company for continued growth. With over 25 years of experience in IT industry, Ms. Ambastha has proven expertise in establishing and nurturing customer relationships and leading strategic account relationships. Please help me welcome on the dais our second panelist for the session, Mr. Venkata Damera, President IT Emami Limited. And let me introduce you to him. Mr. Venkata Damera is a technically sound and result-oriented professional with ability to conceptualize and deliver technology solutions in line with organizational needs. He has a successful history of providing strategic leadership for enterprise-wide technology initiatives. He has pioneered significant information technology initiatives, which has given new directions to organizational practices and brought tangible as well as intangible benefits to the organization. He is a CIO with deep business experience in FMCG, agri, chemical, fertilizers, and IT services. He has handled multiple assignments in areas of IT, digital, shared services models, and supply chain management process improvement. We don't really have too many audiences, but I would expect a round of applause for both our panelists as of now on the stage. Please help me welcome now our next panelist, Mr. Hilal Khan, VP and Operating Head IT of Honda Cars Limited on stage. And let me introduce him to you. A dynamic thought leader with 25 years of deep IT experience and strong understanding of automotive business. He has demonstrated experience at leadership positions, including 15 years of IT planning and strategy experience. He has been responsible for managing complex business challenges using information technology, engaging, collaborating, and fostering relationships at the top to get their buy-in, securing IT budgets, and ensuring smooth delivery of business projects. He has an all-round experience abreast with the trends and best practices of IT, automotive market to determine differentiator and help business stay ahead of the competition. Please help me welcome our next panelist on the dais, Mr. Jatinder Singh Pabla, the Director, 365 Business, Microsoft Corporation, India. A round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. And to introduce him, let me inform you that he has more than 21 years of experience in leading IT transformation in organizations like Microsoft, Wipro, HP, and Convergys. Microsoft launched Office 365 6 years ago, and Mr. Pabla was assigned to lead the productivity sales team for the North region. Over the last 3 years, Mr. Pabla has been assigned to lead Office 365 business for India commercial segment. Mr. Pabla has joined Microsoft 12 years ago, handling pre-sales for the central government team. He was chartered to build the base for large-scale projects like power reforms and police modernization. And he was instrumental in building more than $40 million business in 2 years and subsequently assigned to lead the government pre-sales team. Mr. Pabla started his career in 1996 with Wipro as a pre-sales consultant and was among the founding team members of Unicenter and Microsoft Business. He then moved to HP India in 2000 and helped set up their Microsoft Services business. And to chair this session, please help me welcome Mr. Jaspreet Singh, Partner, Cybersecurity Advisory Services, Ernst & Young, LLP. So glad to have you back. And to introduce him once again to you and those who have just joined in. Mr. Jaspreet has more than 12 years of experience in handling cybersecurity-related engagements, and his primary focus is on cyber business resilience strategy and planning, crisis management, cyber risk, security incident response, governance, risk and compliance strategies and solutions, vulnerability assessment. Jaspreet ji has been instrumental in setting up and leading the BCP practice at EY. Mr. Singh holds an MBA Systems and a Bachelor of Computer Application degree. Mr. Singh is a certified business continuity professional, certified ethical hacker, certified information security auditor, certified implementer of ISO 22301 of 2012 and ISO 27001 of 2013, to mention a few. And now may I request Mr. Singh to kindly take over the session.
Sure.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon, everybody. Superb. So thanks for getting me back here. I think you would have been tired after my last 40-minute talk. So I'll let all my eminent panelists speak. Very, very interesting topic, and I really don't have an answer on how do we control this problem. The more flexibility you give your employees in terms of bringing your own devices, we know the results could be catastrophic. So I think we've had a lot of talks on the user community, what users are going through, what companies are going through. Let's start from the vendor community now, and let me put Jatinder on the focus here. Jatinder, what are your thoughts on the topic? When you first received the invite, what did you think you'll speak about?
Does this work? Okay, I think, of course, I completely agree with you that productivity and security were always at loggerheads. It was always considered to be at loggerheads. You increase security, and we always assumed that productivity would go down, and vice versa. If you decrease security, of course, productivity would go up. That was the usual notion. But the world has slightly started changing. I think there is a new concept of something which is called as people-centric security. And that is making life a bit interesting now. So I think as we discuss ahead, we will delve into that. But people-centric security is something which gives a fine balance between security and productivity, which keeps the data secure and information secure, and yet allows people to be productive.
Superb. People-centric security. I'll remember that and come back to you. Seema, what are the various industries, you work across sectors, right? What are the various industries you're seeing who've probably taken adoption of BYOD to the next level?
A lot of them, right? FSI leads the pack in terms of BYOD because it's also a necessity. In fact, the new generation banks, I wouldn't say all of them in FSI, that's one. I've seen a lot of it in pharma. Again, it's more field-oriented, so you require support to BYOD. Media and entertainment. So there's been quite a few of these industries which probably has forged ahead with BYOD. It's a paradigm shift. See, as we move from realm of fantasy into realm of reality, I think there's been a paradigm shift the way the BYOD gets treated. So I don't want to look at BYOD as just any device that's being introduced into the enterprise, but something that, as rightly put by Jaspreet, it's more, by Jatinder, I think it's more around productivity.
Okay.
And that's what would drive a BYOD adoption for enterprise, right?
Thanks, Seema. In the various industries that you mentioned, sorry, Mr. Hilal, your industry was not mentioned. So, no. So that's why I
will mention it my own. Yeah.
Yes. So that's why, next question to you. What do you think, especially in a traditional manufacturing organization like yours, how is this entire BYOD planning out? And then we'll come to mobile security a little bit later.
I think it's a bit contradictory. We are talking about traditional manufacturing organization,
Right.
and we are also talking about BYOD, digital and mobile security. Right. So it's all about remaining relevant and competitive in the market. And when we talk about BYOD, we really need to understand as to why it is really required. Is it required for the flexibility and the independence of the end user, or it is required for me as an organization as well? And we need to understand the fine balance between the two. Now, if I give you my example, we are operating through our dealers. We are having approximately 350 dealers. Sorry, for some of you who do not know, I represent Honda Cars India Limited, and we are in the manufacturing of passenger cars. Some people used to call us manufacturer of premium passenger cars, but we are no longer manufacturer of premium passenger car, right?
That's a
So
good
we are operating through our dealers, and our dealers are having service advisors and sales advisors. Now those service advisors and sales advisors are under tremendous pressure because they are dealing with people like you who are carrying lot of automobile knowledge than that poor chap representing a dealership. You are coming with lot of study, lot of research, you are having some kind of decision making parameters, and he has to respond to you in a language, in a manner that you understand. Now, if I have to enable my service advisor or sales advisor through a digital tool, that could be a mobile, or that could be a tablet or anything else, 350 dealers multiplied by approximately 50 number of sales and service advisors, that's a lot of overhead for me. If I am actually enabling them, I am giving them flexibility. I am also taking liberty of reducing my capital expenditure. Now, when we talk about security, it's about making a fine balance between what is required at his end and what is need to be controlled at my end. And when we talk about BYOD, after taking those kind of initiative, we really learned that it has got its own merit. It has some demerits as well. And for the demerits, we are trying to adjust. No, I am not suddenly concluding or jumping to the fact that from BYOD we are now shifting to CYOD. That's choose your own device. So they will be given the liberty to have their own device, but from a specific set of the devices. And why a specific set of devices? Because the standardization, universal operating system or universal solution is kind of mandatory, because we need to maintain the equilibrium between their flexibility and our control. Thank you.
Superb. So starting from people-centric technology to going to ambition versus what's the reality, or I just learned a new term called CYOD, carry your own device. Mr. Venkat, let's change calendars. Imagine we are in 2020, 2.5 years from now. What will the future of BYOD look like? Will it become CYOD, or do you have any other thoughts?
Yeah. Basically, whether the BYOD or digital business, this is the business drive, and the business requires speed surveys. You call it as BYOD or CYOD or wearable device, whatever you call it as. That is required for the business. So today's scenario, if you can look into that, by 2020, the Gartner report says that 70% of the people will be connected to a smartphone. And every person will carry minimum 3 devices in a day, and is connecting to a corporate. They can be a personal network. It could be an enterprise network. They're well connected to the business purposes. So hence, you cannot stop that whether you can provide a device or people can bring their own device. So it's a ruled out. Then the only option is that we have to build a security layer and a strong layer to support for that. Then only the organization will grow. Ultimate digital business to run in a speed manner. Hence, we have to live with this.
Superb. And thanks for telling us about having 3 devices per user. I think that's quite scary. but good for Jatinder business, and we'll come to that. Now, if I have so many devices, right, and I couldn't stop myself from asking this question, our software piracy rate in India is as high as 91%. I read in a Microsoft report only. How do you see this entire end user licensing coming into play from a security? Because the number of pirate licenses that go out would obviously have security concerns also.
It's a very dangerous topic to speak in public, actually.
So I couldn't
Piracy.
help myself when he said 3 devices per user
Yeah.
and Microsoft on the panel, right? So
Yeah, but I'll tell you what is changing, and that probably almost almost nullifies and kills this topic. What is changing is that software is evolving almost on a daily or weekly basis. So if we believe that we can buy a software or pirate it and keep it running for 4 or 5 years, that is not going to happen. Okay. So people are moving from product to subscription, and when you move to subscription, there is nothing called as piracy. You can't pirate a dish TV. You could have pirated a cable TV, but you can't pirate a dish TV, right? So that is what we have started seeing. Because of functionalities, people are moving to subscription, which is bringing down piracy as well. And what we are additionally doing is that, and most of the software vendors they have started doing, they've started giving added benefits. So today, when we sell a subscription, we allow users to install it almost on 15 devices. So that gives them added benefit. So you can reduce the cost and you can reduce the barriers to be genuine. You can't just force everyone to be genuine, actually. Unfortunately, that doesn't work.
super. So now I'll come to you, Mr. Venkat. What are some of the risks that you see while you enable BYOD? I think Mr. Hilal touched on a couple of those points from a third-party perspective, but from your own organization perspective, what are some of the risks? We spoke about piracy, but would you like to elaborate more on some of the risks that you are seeing?
Yeah, one of the risks what we have seen that in the supply chain relation, there are a lot of data is keeping in the devices, and the devices, if you can see that around 20 to 30% of devices has been stolen in every year, and that 50% of devices is not able to trace. So that much of data is going outside. It's a dangerous one. And even if you can look into that MDM and other tools which can be protected on that, then most of the tools is not that effective also. And in fact, one of my experience, I'll share it to you. One of my friend, in few years back it has happened, one of my friend told me that your company sales budgeting thing is very good. Then I asked that, how do you know? He is no way connected to my company. Then after that, I realized that one of the BYOD device, one of the user has given as a buyback option. That laptop is having with some other person, they can able to see the data. These kind of lot of issues and security related is a major concern. And even though you have a policy, one is the policy, and you should have support to that kind of policy to an IT security teams, which is normally we are in a traditional approach, and these are the digital, in this digital world, we have to be very strong in that. And strong tools also is required. At this moment, in my view, the current tools will not support up to that level.
Superb. And I may probably leave a question for audience to ponder upon, because I may not have the answer myself. If you lose your phone and it has a MDM software wherein your company can wipe the entire data on the phone, it does not distinguish between your official as well as your personal data. Would you want your company to exercise that right? I don't know. I don't have an answer. So I'll come to Seema. Seema, how have you seen BYOD evolve in the last 3 to 5 years from a technology perspective?
Before even I answer that question, right, there's a couple of things I want to just point.
Sure.
I just want to add to what Venkat said. That will make it more, I'm sure Hilal San will have a lot of experience to add to it. So when you look at BYOD and the challenges associated with it, there are majorly 4 challenges, right? Number 1, what happens when this device is exposed to networks outside the periphery of secured network, right? That's number one challenge. You have answers to that challenge, but that's a big challenge. Number two, you have an ability when you bring your own device, to have access to applications which may be malicious or non-malicious, but then that's the second challenge. Third is, of course, the way the data, the theft and the data loss associated with it. The fourth challenge, what happens, that's the challenge that you spoke about, when you leave or your separation, how do you recover your data or, you kind of destroy that data? These are the primarily four challenges. Has really devices responded to this? I would say no. I will tell you why. I am in an industry where if I ask for BYOD, then nobody will host with us, right? You'll all agree with me. In a data center business, you're not supposed to have BYOD. So we are not people who will ever have BYOD. Our own devices, everything is disabled. If you see my laptop, I have nothing in that except whatever that they can, right? No admin rights, no rights to copy, no rights to delete, no rights to install, no rights to put a USB, no rights to read. I just don't have anything. It's just a dumb device, and I'm wondering why I'm carrying it around, right? So that's how we live. If this has changed, it makes more sense to us if it has really evolved. It comes with two challenges when you look at security. One are these challenges, and two, the cost associated with looking for a solution for these challenges, because the whole security definition for BYOD brings with itself a lot of cost associated with it, right? Additional cost. I want actually, I'm sure.
So I'll come to Hilal only
He
on your...
really talked about a beautiful topic, and I want to know, I asked him that question sitting there, how are you doing it? And I really want to know how you're going to...
So I'll just add one more sentence to it. What is his biggest implementation challenge on BYOD?
Before actually I go for your answer, your question, let me first try to give me a combined response of your first two questions. One was about the software piracy at the BYOD.
Sure.
And second thing, she very beautifully touched upon the challenges related to BYOD. Now, what is this BYOD all about? I am carrying a phone with me. If I am giving it if somebody is carrying it for an official purpose, it is not a device in isolation, right? So we need to understand the holistic view or the 360-degree view of the security and the challenge altogether. So when it comes to operating this device, you are having some application that you are using. That application is hosted somewhere, right? So you are eventually talking about your gateway security. You are talking about your data center and application security. You are talking about your mobile device security, right? And hence, focusing only on the security of the end device or end computing device is not really going to serve the purpose. That's going to serve the purpose from that device perspective, right? And even that is controlled and linked with so many other, parameters. That's number one. Number two, the piracy. Jatinder is sitting here. These guys are coming up with 0365. I mean, it's very, very popular. And why it is popular, beyond converting my capex into opex, it's giving lot of governance capability to a CIO, right? Now the tension of managing the licenses is, reduced to a drastic level. Now, if I am having a solution that is giving me the leverage and the capability of a solution that's locked from all these parameters, and a device that is, taking care of my subscription and, piracy, I am, quite, in a quite good situation to deal with the security. But as I said earlier, the challenge is not over here. And, why it's not over here? Because you are dealing with number of different devices. You are dealing with number of different operating systems. And hence, I would once again emphasize the fact that according to me, the future of the BYOD, if we need to understand and maintain the security, it's the CYOD.
Superb. So I learned one thing. You can't look at your mobile device as a standalone device. It's an enterprise moving with you, right? And you put in all the controls that would be relevant from an enterprise perspective. Superb. Thank you. Mr. Venkat, uh, third-party service providers, vendors, suppliers, contractors, everybody these days carries their own device, walks into your office, connects to your Wi-Fi. How do you deal with these elements of BYOD?
So today, if you can look into that, as an organization policy, we have only two users. One is enterprise user, second is the guest users.
Okay.
So either vendor or an outsider who will call it as a guest only. Guest will have only internet access. Even though saying that only the guest user with a limited access also, risk is always there in that. Because once they are connected to our network, if you can look into that, the recent Cisco analysis, 50% of the networks as a risk prone. There is a risk in that while you are connecting through a Wi-Fi to your device. Recent statistics what Cisco has published.
Sure.
So in this connection, always there is a risk, there is a close monitoring while any of the guest user, any vendor while connecting to our network. And more, over and above, we have another, based on the agreements and other, we are protecting on that. These are the two ways.
I'm sorry to step in.
Yeah.
You know, so Wi-Fi is enabled across the campus, right, whatever. And you're saying that just by segregating the two users you trust. How do you do that? See, somebody walks in. What prevents an employee of your own office giving the password of a non-guest Wi-Fi to him?
No.
How do you really prevent? I tell you, I have seen this happen, right? I've seen this happen a lot. We have a way of doing that. We even prevent that. We are just
can do
too
MAC binding.
smart.
MAC
because we are a
binding also
data
is
center,
another option.
right? But this is something that an organization should look into. There was one large piracy within the organization. There was siphoning off of some confidential data, and that happened because the employee did this, right? So when you have BYOD and guest, this is a bigger challenge that you have. If you have, decided to do it at your so-called Wi-Fi network.
No, there are two levels of authentication. If the enterprise user or the guest user, there is a MAC binding also is the second level also. By considering that only, we are providing.
Sure. Jatinder, you go and meet clients day in and day out and talk to them about this new concept, technology, BYOD, CYOD. What are some of the misconceptions that you see or that you hear from various clients, and what's your answer to some of these pieces?
I think we discussed about a couple of those misconceptions or challenges, as we call it. And there are ways people are trying to solve it as well. Now, there are a couple of trends which I've started seeing. One, people have started using identity as the single point of authentication. So I am tied to a user ID, and whatever security parameters have to be given, that has to be tied to me. Everything else can be copied, but not my user ID. And then what people have started doing is that they have started believing a lot in containerization. So you have your mobile or you have your tablet. Now we know that all of us do our home job as well as work job on the same tablet. But if there is a way to containerize these two parts, so that means if you have a document on your work container, you can't even copy paste from work container to home container. So those kinds of things are allowing people to have more faith on BYOD or CYOD. And that is what is changing the way people have started using it. I just want to probably add one more thing, and it could be a new term. I have learned it new. We always used to talk about work-life balance, right? So you have an office PC, you have a home PC, you do your job, you go home, and you start your home job on your PC. So we did a recent survey where almost 80% of the people have started saying that they want work-life integration. So that means work-life integration. So that means they want to do the job at a time of their choice, on a device of their choice, at a place of their choice. They could be on vacation, they could be traveling. So when people are demanding for it, then you'll have to give them that solution. Otherwise, they will do it in an insecure way or they will not do it. So there's no choice whether to do it or not. We'll have to ensure that it is done in a safe, secured manner.
So organizational awareness, you're saying, is
I think it has improved a lot. Almost every organization I speak to is today talking about MDM,
Right.
is talking about containerization, is talking about identity-based authentication. I think it has improved a lot. People have now started going to the next level of security, which is using AI and machine learning to secure the environment. I think in terms of security, the awareness in the past 1.5 to 2 years has improved a lot. It is a super boardroom subject now.
it's a boardroom subject. Mr. Hilal, coming to you. How do you think, and this is taking on from Jatinder's point, how do you think changing or enhancing the technology security policies of an organization is going to play a role in the future?
To be honest, he touched upon a very, very relevant point and very relevant perspective. Work-life integration, or doing business at my choice and doing work at my choice, doing work wheresoever I like. Just because of the security threat, I just can't deny that opportunity to him. So rather than denying that opportunity, I have to find out ways and means as to how I am going to handle it. And beyond his liberty or beyond his flexibility, it's all about taking care of my own business. Now, if I have to do that, it's very important for me to understand what kind of threat are really there. And at times we have seen that people either end up overreacting or they end up denying the threat. So how to take a balanced call, that's really very, very important, because it's a growing market. Security is a growing market. There's a lot of hype in the market. We have to really understand the hype threat or the perceived threat versus the actual threat. So as long as we are taking a holistic view of all the components. I'm giving an example. We are talking about digital business, BYOD for a digital business. We are also talking about mobile security. We are in the business of mobility, beyond a mobile device. My car is offering mobility to people. And we were the first one to come up with a connected car concept. And when we came up with the connected car concept, the idea was to give a sense of safety, security, convenience and fun to my customer. And when we thought of that idea, just because of the threat, fact that it's a big threat of security to you as a customer, so much so that your life is at stake. In US, somebody hacked the car and taken the control of the device, and he could not apply the brake. So if you are having a holistic solution and if you are talking about all the possible component, you have to understand the possible security threat, be it related to end user device, be it related to application. And fortunately, EY was our partner to do the holistic security assessment for us. So much so that we have done the network check, we have done the device check, we have hired ethical hackers to log into it and see as to what can be done. So you need to be very serious about security, but at the same time you need to create a balance, because at times there is too much of hype around it and you need to take your actions accordingly.
Superb. Thank you. And I know about the entire connected cars initiative. Coming to you, Seema, what do you think, which way is this going? 2020?
I don't predict much. No, but anyways, so I'll actually agree with what Mr. Hilal San said, right? How's it going? See, they are all representing the path, let me tell you. It's actually the user community, right? One, and there'll be a controlled BYOD rollout, most of the organizations. You see, the MDM, as he rightly said, has taken the right direction. Even those organizations which are in an old generation mode of operating and they didn't see a relevance, I've started seeing relevance, as rightly pointed out. It's not because of the business relevance, it's more because of the personal relevance, and you cannot stay away from it for a very long time. So there be a controlled, as rightly said, defined devices being connected, and company will, the organizations will take a call on what is the cost of managing that, right? That will be more of a deciding factor on how much it gets rolled out. But eventually, as you rightly said, there are a lot of enhancements around, or rather there are a lot of development around security itself. Actually, both advanced security products, advanced threat protection, IPS and threat protection enhancements. There is also threat of known and unknown injections. So many things has been already in a fast track mode of being productized, right? Both for open source and for enterprise products. Given that, you will see between 2019 and 2020, you may even have a chip on you, which is good enough. You don't need to carry anything, right? I mean, there could be something like that. I'm not sure.
So you did finally.
But I don't know whether
No, no,
data
you-
center people will still carry any of their devices. They will continue having those dumb laptops. But
No, so you did finally make a prediction. 2019 or 2020, all of us would probably have chip.
I'm saying there's going to be a significant move towards. See, it was not there in last 12 months, but the last 12 months, these 12 months between 2017 and 18, you can answer this question. Tell me how many MDM deals you have done.
So I was going to Jatinder
Tremendous amount of SAP, Oracle, Microsoft has done a lot of MDM deals, right? That
MDM
shows.
salespeople are making good money for past 2 years.
No.
That is.
So we'll talk about MDM salespeople, but so now your turn. Next 3 years, 4 years.
So I've started.
I've seen a lot of
some
scary
trends.
videos, right? I'll just bring it to the perspective. If I and I'm a cybersecurity consultant, right? I go to YouTube, I see videos on cybersecurity, future of cybersecurity. There are all scary videos. In fact, there's a game called Prince of Persia or something. And I've seen some kids play that game. In that game, I've actually seen mobile phones triggering a lot of attacks. So, next 3 years, good, scary.
Yeah. So let me tell you a very short story. Almost, I think some 500, 600 years back, there was a fort in Europe. Okay, that fort was considered as impenetrable, and yeah. So, and that was the time, when even the cannons were not invented or created. Okay, the forts had big walls, and then one fine day, there was a new attack, which was with cannons, and the fort broke. So, the moral of the story is that the attacks, the malwares, the technologies will continue to change. You cannot build your defenses on what has been happening. Personally, I have started seeing a couple of trends. One, because we have lots of history, we can use that history to predict something using AI and ML, which is artificial intelligence and machine learning. So AI and ML is becoming a very, very integral part of any security product or any security solution. The security solutions have started learning from history, have started learning from anomaly, have started learning from each other, and hence protecting the infrastructure. They have started learning from other customers. So like in our world, if one customer gets infected, we come to know, and we use that data to protect other customers. So at the most, one will get impacted. So AI and ML is taking a huge, huge center stage. Second thing which I have started seeing is partnerships. All different types of partnerships. Partnerships between enterprises, between competitors, between enterprises and government. So partnership is something, again, which is changing the way security companies or security providers are working. So in fact, let me just summarize with these two parts. One, AI, ML, and the second is partnership. I think this is something which is going to define the way the solutions will be built. So whichever solutions are there, they will definitely have a good amount of these two technologies.
Right. And last but not the least, Mr. Venkat, 2020 vision or road to 2020.
By considering the IoT is gearing up, and then the current scenario of mobile usage will go up, and each person will carry more devices, and then business also required a instant data. By considering all these things, holistic approach of it should not be a piecemeal approach on the BYOD related policy or anything. It should have a holistic approach, and future will be there will be more usage will improve, and then we should have a more secure solutions in the place. That is the only solution.
Right. I think if I look at the future of Internet of Things, where everything is connected, your traffic lights, your cars, your homes, everything, and then that connected to a watch on your wrist, and you're walking in the office, connected that again to the enterprise. I think I like Hilal's point more and more, and Seema, you also, I think all of you added to that, saying we should not only look at piecemeal security, but probably look at the entire enterprise, or the holistic approach that's, or the holistic piece that is walking with you at least till 2020. And Seema made a prediction.
Let me just, add to this, living in an era of disruption and talking about prediction doesn't really make sense, right?
So that's why I asked Seema, but she
And
made a
another
prediction.
thing is that, yeah,
I just talked about the trend.
yeah,
Call it prediction.
yeah. So that's number one. Number two, saying holistic today doesn't really mean holistic tomorrow. Market forces are changing, the dynamics are changing, and we have to evolve with time. So we need to be really agile and flexible. We have to constantly review. There is no beginning to it, there is no end to it. Thank you.
It's more of responding to it rather than.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, dear panelist. I learned there is no beginning to it, there is no end to it. I learned about people-centric technology, CYOD, carry your own device, reality versus what's my ambition. We'll open it up for audience if you've got, we can I think take 1-2 questions. And thank you so much.
Well, I believe there.
If there is a breakage at a point in security, how do you prevent propagation of such incidents or events?
Okay, propagation of incident.
What we typically do is that break all these things in 4 categories, and if you do all of them, probably will be better secure. The first one is identity and access protection. So you have to protect that first. The second is your information protection. So the sensitive information, important information, there has to be a tool which does not allow those information to leave outside of organization, and there are tools for do that. There are rights management services, there are data loss prevention. The third one is threat protection, which is like zero-day threat protections and all. And fourth one is management protection. So protecting from anomalous behavior. You're sitting here and someone using your ID should not be logging at a different place. So these are anomalous behavior. So if you do all these 4 things, I think we are better prepared. Information protection, threat protection, security management, and identity and access management. So all put together probably will help.
So this is a layered security.
This is
but
these
this
are
you have
4
to implement in every node where it can propagate.
Yes. All these 4 have to be
Hand in hand.
again then categorized into protect, detect, respond. So you have to have protection, detection, and response using these 4 layers.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I think a huge round of applause for my fellow panelists. They were great. Thank you.
Thank you so much, gentlemen and ma'am. May I please request you to kindly stay back a little longer at this point of time? May I please invite on the dais our Associate Vice President, Human Resources of ABP Private Limited, Mr. Shumon Banerjee, to kindly step forward and present the mementos to all our panelists. Can I expect a round of applause from my audience? Thank you, all of you.